Spanakopita!
The ingredients for Spanakopita are 3 bunches of green onions, plus an additional yellow onion, 22 eggs, 6 pounds of frozen and thawed spinach, 2 packages of phyllo and 3 sticks of salted butter, 2 pounds of feta cheese, 2 cups of Romano cheese, and 3 16-ounce containers of cottage cheese. This recipe is enough to make 2 9 by 18-inch pans. Next, we're going to thinly slice the 3 bunches of green onion plus the additional yellow onion. After that, you are going to fry it into a pan for 3 to 5 minutes. After soft, put on a plate to cool. You want them to cool before you put them into the mix because you don't want the eggs to curdle when you add the eggs. Speaking of eggs, next you'll want to crack 22 eggs into a large mixing bowl. You'll want to stir them up until the eggs are fully combined with the whites. Set aside for later. Next, you'll want to take your spinach after it is thawed and drain all of the liquid out. You can do this by squeezing it into balls and just making sure all of the water is out. Pro tip, if your spinach isn't thawed all the way, you can just put it in the microwave. Now you're ready to start mixing your ingredients together. In a very large bowl, you can start combining your cheeses, including your crumbled feta, your Romano cheese, and your cottage cheese. Next, you can begin to crumble your spinach in. At this time, you can also add your cooled and cooked green onions. At this point, you can stir all of the ingredients in the bowl together and begin to add your spices. The spices you will need for this recipe is salt, garlic powder, fresh garlic, onion powder, black pepper, dried or fresh mint, and dried or fresh dill. Here is how to chop and mince garlic like a pro Greek.
There are 2 essentials in Greek cooking: olive oil, straight from Greece, and lots of garlic.
Next, slowly incorporate your whisked eggs. Now that your filling is done and seasoned to perfection, you can begin working on the phyllo. Now you need to melt the butter. In a small pot, place 2 sticks of butter to start. You might need to use a 3rd one later on. Another pro tip is that if your butter starts to harden, place it on the stove and let it remelt a little bit. At this point, you'll want to make sure that you butter the pan heavily. Now it's time to start laying on the phyllo. You'll want to use about half of the package for the bottom layer and half for the top layer. Then, once you use about half of the package, go ahead and add your filling into the tray. After you add your filling, and make sure it's spread evenly, you can start adding your top filling. Make sure you are drizzling butter still, that's how you get the nice crispy layers. When finished with the phyllo, it's now time to tuck. Go around the edges and tuck the edges in. This prevents the egg from spilling out.
Time to tuck the edges. So this is how I got started working with phyllo in the first place. My mother-in-law, my husband's mother, asked me to help her tuck the edges after she found out I was an artist. And I did it one time and I realized it was not as scary as I thought. And so I started working with phyllo dough. And Greek families use phyllo dough for lots of different reasons, both savory and sweet. So some savory dishes that you might recognize are Spanakopita, which we made today, Toropita, which is just a cheese and phyllo pie, Kotapita, which is a chicken and phyllo pie, which lots of families have different ways that they make that. And you may know phyllo dough more for sweet recipes, probably the most famous being baklava.
Now your pizza is ready to go in the oven. Place in the oven at 350 for about 1 hour. 25 minutes in, you'll want to check on it, and if you're doing 2 pans like my family does, you'll want to go ahead and switch the pans so they'll both have an even chance to cook. Spanakopita until it is golden brown on the top and the inside is reached to 160 degrees. Now it is done cooking. All it needs left is to let it sit out. Sitting out helps the egg solidify, almost like a quiche. Now you are ready to enjoy your Spanakopita. Make sure you do so with family and friends.